thank you for providing me the opportunity to address this conference of your esteemed institute. You may be the world's oldest defense and security bank, but I would say that your biggest strength lies in your ability to look ahead. Not to predict world events, because none of us can, but to assess developments and to make sure the UK Armed Forces and their allies are prepared for any kind of scenario. As your founder, the Duke of Wellington, said, the whole art of war consists of guessing at what is on the other side of the hill. In this time where global security is under immense pressure, I would say that that is not only an art, but a crucial means for survival. The Russian attack on Ukraine is the gravest threat to Euro-Atlantic security in decades. Europe is seeing destruction and displacement on a scale not seen since the darkest day of the last century. Without a doubt, a new era for NATO has begun. Back in 2014, we could not foresee that events would transpire exactly the way they have now. But we did see a clear need to better prepare for collective defense scenarios, especially after having been involved in crisis response operations for more than 2 decades. Therefore, in recent years, we have implemented the biggest reinforcement of our collective defense in a generation. We developed new plans for deterrence and defense, like the NATO military strategy in 2019, the concept for the deterrence and defense of the Euro-Atlantic area in 2020, and the NATO warfighting capstone concept in 2021. While we are still in the process of further developing and implementing the DDA family of plans, we have already and rapidly put DDA to the test. The number of troops under command of SecEuro has increased 10 times. In addition, we have put hundreds of thousands of forces at heightened alert across the alliance. For the first time in the alliance's history, we have activated all 5 graduated response plans. And we have deployed elements of the NATO response force, like the VJTF, in the context of collective defense. We have now 8 multinational NATO battle groups, from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. We have over 130 jets on high alert operating from 30 different locations, with a 50% increase of fighters conducting air policing along the eastern flank from Estonia to Bulgaria. And crucially, we have fully manned NATO's standing naval forces. There are more than 150 allied ships at sea, including 5 carriers, from the high north to the Mediterranean. You might have noticed I used the word crucially. As chair of the NATO Military Committee and former Chief of Defense, I would never want to give the impression that I have a preference for any of the service branches. But even 4-star generals have admitted to me the maritime makes the difference, which of course I have known all my military life. Together with cyber and space, the maritime is the only domain where NATO and Russian forces actually meet in the global commons. The maritime domain affects all NATO members, even those with no sea border. Therefore, NATO's maritime forces are focused on projecting a credible deterrent posture, actively working to avoid miscalculation or inadvertent escalation, but also making sure that the alliance's resolve to respond when threatened should not be doubted. Article 5 guarantees are ironclad, as allied leaders have recently reiterated. A good example of this are the recent deployments of carrier strike groups across the span of the Mediterranean and of the coast of Norway. Not geographically threatening, but a very powerful display of capability. In many ways, deterrence is like the 7-foot bouncer in front of the nightclub that makes you think twice on whether you want to force yourself in. It is about having both the political will and the military capabilities to be credible and act decisively when necessary. Because when armed conflict inevitably presents itself, coming in second is generally not the preferred option. When it comes to high-intensity warfighting in the 21st century, I believe there are two crucial elements: data and multi-domain. Data is the new currency. In a world where information is the defining factor, the ability to collect and effectively use all available data is what sets you apart from your competitors. Big data has not only transformed our societies, it also has a profound impact on our warfare development. The battlefield is becoming more and more digitalized and information-driven. Modern naval radars, F-35s, or Reapers, they all collect enormous amounts of data. Whoever is able to store this data, analyze it intelligently, and then quickly and regularly relay the relevant information to the commander in the field, at sea or in the air, or involved in cyber and space operations, holds a battle-winning advantage. In order for the NATO command structure to be fully effective, we must be able to collect, prioritize, process, and share data, and then fuse it into a continuously updated display of relevant information for joint forces. In this complex and contested security environment, Allied forces need to seamlessly shift between domains, components, and regions. That is the only way we can create high-velocity, precision warfighting, multi-domain effects. And time is not our friend here. The timelines for collective defense are very different from those for crisis management. This is no longer asymmetrical warfare per se. And that makes it all the more important for the strategic, political, and military level to have common situational awareness and quick digital decision-making tools and procedures. As we enhance our maritime capabilities, our adversaries have enhanced the challenges and showed increasingly threatening behavior in the maritime domain. NATO has responded to the evolving situation by standing up our Joint Forces Command Norfolk in Virginia, United States, focused on securing transatlantic sea lines of communication, ensuring that we can layer air, space, and cyber capabilities of the 21st century into the maritime fight for the North Atlantic, but also to be ready for the land fight in Greenland, Iceland, the UK, and Norway. Allies are increasing their investments in submarines, frigates, and helicopters, as well as new anti-submarine aircraft, such as the UK upgrading its fleet of maritime patrol aircraft to the P-8, or in unmanned vehicles for use in the air or at sea, and for the latter, both on the surface and underwater. NATO's maritime community is developing a digital ocean concept, which is designed to improve allies' capacity to see our oceans through the creation of a global-scale network of sensors from seabed to space to better predict, identify, classify, and combat threats. NATO is working to understand the potential of emerging and disruptive technologies in the maritime domain. With the Smart Defense Project for Anti-Submarine Warfare Barrier, for instance, allies are exploring the use of unmanned systems, big data, and machine learning to develop agile, cost-effective methods for deterring and detecting submarines. And NATO is conducting more naval exercises, like with the maritime component for the exercise called Response very recently. But I also want to mention Dynamic Manta, which concluded just last month. Here we showed, once again, our ability to quickly and effectively combine ships, submarines, and air assets from 9 allied nations. And we clearly demonstrated the alliance's unity and readiness as the maritime component of the NATO response force. Ladies and gentlemen, in many ways, this crisis has made NATO stronger. What I want to emphasize is that we didn't start our work when Russian tanks crossed the border with Ukraine. This is the result of years of preparation, pushed forward by an unprecedented level of unity and cohesion. We are more resolute than ever. We are readier than ever. But most importantly, we have 3.2 million men and women in uniform who know exactly what it is they are fighting for. They are willing to put it all on the line to protect our freedom and democracy. The main cause of our success is that we are able to use the diversity of our allies to our advantage, that we continue to find and fight for what unites us, actively encouraging internal debate and different points of view. In room 1 of the NATO headquarters in Brussels, there is a phrase on the wall, animus in consulendo liber, in discussion, a free mind. This is crucial to make sure we are prepared for all scenarios, that we are ready to expect the unexpected,